What's going on, everybody? It's time to start a new franchise, and that is the Purge franchise. But you knew that because of the title of the video, so I don't know why I keep lifting this up like it's a surprise. Like, you're not gonna know until I lift it up, and you're like, oh, that's what we're listening to now? It's not a surprise, you already knew. But yeah, just to show that I own it, I guess. Like, hey, I own it now, so isn't that cool? Yeah, so in preparation for the new movie coming out, which is said to be the last one, but it's Universal and Blumhouse, and if this movie makes money, they're gonna give us more and more and more. Just we're gonna get 10 more. Trust me, it's not the last Purge. Even if they make a movie called The Last Purge, just they have one called The First Purge, which makes it confusing. Like, you want to watch The First Purge, the original, or the first? What do you mean? So now that's confusing. But after this movie, it's not going to be The Last Purge, even if they make one called The Last Purge, just like the final chapter. I'm wearing the shirt, coincidence. This franchise did that twice. I'm sure The Purge will do it at least once. So there's going to be more. But yeah, in preparation for that movie, I'm talking about all four of these Purge movies, and I've only seen the first one and the second one, about twice each. So it's not a franchise I love. I saw the first two, and then never had any interest of checking out the third and fourth one. They seemed like they were getting very political, and I just don't care about that shit. I watch horror movies to escape real life and real problems and political shit. And when I saw that the third one was called Election Year, and I think it even came out election year, didn't it? And then I heard of that the fourth one was very political, so I was like, I'm not watching it. But now I'm going to, so maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll like them more than the first one. So the first one, I used to say it was my favorite, like, over the second one, the only other one that I saw. But I'm not sure if I believe that anymore. I haven't rewatched part 2, but after watching part 1 once again, I think my opinion has gone down since my last watch, which was like a decade ago. This came out in 2013. I thought this movie came out in like 2010, so I guess I was wrong. But yeah, I saw it about twice back then, and I thought I liked it, but I didn't care for it as much this time. I think it's a good movie. It's fine. It's got good moments in it for sure. It's got some creepy little scenes in it. I think the concept is fantastic, but the execution, I think, could have been better. It's a bit disappointing, if you ask me. But let's get into the positives. First thing is that the concept, like I just said 5 seconds ago, is fantastic. I think it's a fascinating idea. I think it's far-fetched. I don't think this would ever happen. Maybe it would. Who the fuck knows? But yeah, I just think it's a perfect idea for a horror movie. And I just wish they would have done what they did in the sequels and this one. Expand on, like, show the impact across the nation, And so yeah, it's just a great concept, and it's the government just being lazy. They're like, we're not going to be able to take care of these problems on our own, so let's just have the people, let's make it legal for them to get rid of the homeless and get rid of these people, and that will help crime somehow. I don't believe this would actually help crime at all. I believe that if this happened, some people would still murder. A lot of people. It would still, I don't think this shit would work at all. I did think it was funny, though, that they point out that, and very just convenient for these people, they point out that, you can kill anybody, but you can't kill certain politicians. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I see. The people who vote this shit into law and make it legal, they're untouchable. So it's like typical. That's true to life. Very true. I like the mask that they all wear. I thought that shit was creepy. It's very effective, especially when you're looking outside your window and you see that, and the girl's just like prancing around with the machetes in their hand, and they got the mask on. They're all wearing the same mask. They're all very coordinated. And the siren sound, I think, is the scariest sound in the world, and the scariest part of this movie is the siren sound. It just tells you that doom and gloom is on its way, chaos, it's about to go down. So when you hear that sound, it's never happy. It's never a good sign. So I like that sound, and I think it has good performances. I love Ethan Hawke, especially in Sinister. I mean, he says that he doesn't like horror movies, but then he does Sinister, and then this right after. So it's like, what the hell's up? I don't like horror movies, but then I do 2 of them in a row. So I guess if the paychecks are coming, he's gonna do horror movies, right? But yeah, at least it's not like Rooney Mara. I haven't heard Ethan Hawke say like, "Oh, horror movies are just fucking stupid. Who the hell likes that shit?" Oh, another horror script. Yeah, looks interesting. I'll take that job. Like Rooney Mara when she did like Nightmare on Elm Street, just shitting on horror fans, and then it's playing a iconic role in the iconic movie. a remake of an iconic movie. Like, fuck you. Ethan Hawke isn't like her, but still, I just thought that was interesting that he said that. I read, and then he did 2 horror movies in a row. But yeah, you got a good cast, and except for the son character, I'll get to him later, and some good performances. So yeah, I like the hobo guy, the homeless person who comes in, and I like his character. And the opening montage was pretty cool. That's what I wanted to see more of throughout the movie. Just what's going on across the nation, all that shit. And they're like live broadcasting it to the public. So even if you're not participating, which the government encourages you to do, I thought that was messed up, you can still watch it on your television at home with your family. That's pretty fucked up. I'm pretty sure that's illegal. The other 364 days of the year, it's illegal to actually broadcast people dying and shit on TV. You just can't do that, I don't think. And I like that a certain protagonist dies in this movie. It adds a little bit of realism, because I hate when there's movies where like no one dies. There's like no emotional gut punch. There's no like sacrifice, and just they all make it out squeaky clean. Like everybody just makes it happy ending. Like I like there to be somebody who bites a bullet. In this one, you got at least one person who dies. I won't say who. I'll try to keep this a little spoiler free, but it's an older movie, so I'm sure you've all seen it. But yeah, I like that somebody in this family dies. All right, at least one. Somebody had to pay the price for one of these characters' stupid decisions. And so yeah, let's get into the negatives. There are some jump scares in this movie. Don't care for that shit. They add the music there. There's some fake out scares with the son character mainly. And speaking of the son character, he's a big problem. The writing of the movie, just some questionable decisions, some questionable scenes, and just logic issues I have in certain moments. Like, what? Like the guy just firing his gun all the fucking time in his house. That's like this house. I guess sound doesn't travel very much. It's just impossible to find each other. Man, this house is a fucking maze. Like, I think I have a better chance going in and out of, like, the maze at the Shining Hotel, Overlook Hotel, if that's what it's called. I think I have a better chance of making it in and out of that than making it in and out of this fucking house. Because it just seems like there's multiple layers to this place, and nobody seems to be able to find anybody in this house. They get lost. They keep separating time and time again. They reuse that trick in that moment in movies, just to surprise the audience, where they have somebody on the ground and they're like, oh no, and they're about to get stabbed or shot, and then they like somebody else shoots that person or tackles them or whatever, and then it's like, oh, they're okay. They do that like 5 times, maybe like 3 times, but still, usually you see that once. But there was like 3 separate characters in this movie that were on the ground or they were at gunpoint, and then somebody came in at the last second and saved the day. They did it like 3 fucking times. And so yeah, you got all these fake outs. You got the son character doing really stupid shit and just being ridiculous at times. I didn't care for his character at all, but I guess he's necessary to allow this shit to happen. Like, these things need to happen for the story to work. I get it, but come on, be a little bit smarter with the writing here. And this is a little nitpick. I wish we would have seen more crimes being committed. Why is it only murder? Like, everything's legal. Everything. Use your imagination. Like, people would be out there doing other things, right? I think that opening montage should have shown other weird crimes being committed, but I guess you would be too scared to commit those crimes that are much lesser, because there would be other people out there doing the bigger crimes, and they would just murder your ass while you were trying to do those lesser crimes. Like have people streaking, have people selling cigarettes, just doing little crimes that, like show some other stuff. I would be out there like fucking, go to the car dealership and steal a Corvette, steal a Maserati, do 185, lose your license, now you can't drive. Joe Walsh, anybody? Yeah, I didn't really care for the family altogether all that much. Like, they're fine. Like, it's kind of hard to relate to them and feel much of a connection to them. They don't really love each other all that much. I mean, the sister, mainly, like, she seems to have a very strong disconnect and, hatred towards her dad, because you got the typical dad doesn't want the daughter to date anybody and just keep her just a virgin her whole life if he can help it. Like that whole situation, it's very typical. Like, I just wasn't connecting to the family much at all. I didn't really sympathize with them as much as I would have. I really would have liked to have cared more about this family, but I just really didn't give a shit. and the violence is pretty tame in this movie. For a concept like this, it should be balls out nuts. Like, fucking just people getting hacked up. You got people walking around with machetes, and a single machete is used. An axe is used once, but we should have seen that a lot more. This should have been bloody. It's rated R. Go for it. You already got that rating. Earn it more. I want to see some gore. I want to see that machete being used. Just the gore hound in me is aching for that when I watched this movie. And I didn't get it. So, yeah. And I already talked about it earlier. I wish the first movie would have been like the sequels, more open, not so confined, and one small, not small. This house is fucking huge, but you know what I mean. Like one setting, it's so contained. Just open it up. I feel like they should have done what they did in the sequels, and actually show the whole country. Show a lot more going on throughout the movie. Show a lot more chaos. Make it bigger, but it's the first movie, so I guess it makes sense. The first movies are always the smaller ones, and then they try to get bigger and better as they go on. So I guess it makes sense. But final thoughts. I enjoyed it somewhat. I think it's got a really great concept. Good actors, shot well. Very good production value, and it's just some of the writing I have issues with, some questionable things, some decisions that really just frustrated me. The son character I did not care for. I didn't really feel much for the family. I didn't really connect with them. I didn't care about any of them all that much, really, at the end of the day. And also the villain, I forgot to talk about this. The villain in this movie, I feel like he tries way too hard to be scary. And he's just a fucking little punk ass bitch who could get his ass kicked if that homeless guy got his hands on him. Like, he's a little scrawny little shit. And he's like trying way too hard to be menacing. And I don't buy it for a second. Like, get the fuck out of here, buddy. And he seems way too crazy to be normal the other 364 days of the year. Like, whatever. This guy's murdering people in his basement every day. There's no way. Look at his performance and tell me that's not a crazy guy every day, not just one day a year. I mean, come on. So yeah, it's all right. So I'll say when it comes to the Purge, if you haven't seen it and this concept fascinates you and you're interested, I definitely recommend giving it a watch. So stream it, borrow it from a friend, or rent it at Redbox. Alright, spoiler discussion. So, this movie takes place in 2022. We're almost there. And it's March 21st. Why aren't all these movies released in March at, around this day? Like, it should always be March. None of these movies came out in March, I don't think. So, I feel like that's a missed opportunity, and it's genius. Come on. Like, that's like not releasing Halloween on Halloween or around it, which they did. Stupid, right? And not releasing a Friday the 13th movie on a Friday the 13th. Like, that would be stupid. That'd be nonsense. What are you thinking? In this movie, it's like, why aren't you doing that? Why aren't you releasing this on the damn holiday that you're creating? Make it March 21st, this movie comes out, and every sequel thereafter. Why not? Because they don't want to compete with certain movies that come out in late March. If a bigger movie comes out, they're going to stay away from that. Is that the reason? Money reasons? I'm probably sure that's it. And, well, whatever. So we got the whole boyfriend is too scared of the dad, but is he? Later on, we find out he's not too scared. He's going to kill that bastard, which is stupid. We'll get there. So yeah, the whole boyfriend thing, that's a trope. Don't care for it. And the Timmy doll, Timmy, he's on the little remote control Timmy doll. That actually looks kind of creepy, very Toy Story-like. And so then the son, he has to give them a heads up on when the purge is happening. Like, you should know that. Like, when I get home from work, automatically I'm locking up the house. Like, why wouldn't you? Like, the son actually has to be like, oh shit, hey dad, the purge is starting in like 2 minutes. Like, he's like, oh, what? I lost track of time. Like, on this day, you would never lose track of time. You'd be looking at your watch every fucking minute. I mean, come on. You should lock up immediately when you get home. And so I just thought that was really stupid. And then, we get the whole explanation. We get all the rules, and I like that. And they're like, you can't touch the government, people. You can't touch the president. You can't touch this person. You can't kill them. And then they actually classify like what weapons are allowed and what's not. So I thought that was really smart too, because then everybody would be trying to get like RPGs and shit and throwing grenades at each other, increasing the damage to the city. And yeah. So I like that. They say like class 4. What's class 4 and what's above that? Can I use an SMG, LMG? Well, I mean, where's the limitation? I don't know what the class system is. And then we get the sirens, and then the boyfriend is in the house still, and he's fucking stupid. Like, he's stupid at first because you think, oh, he's gonna go talk to the dad, who he knows hates his guts and can now legally murder him. But then you're like, oh no, you're actually more stupid than I thought, because you're gonna go kill her father, and think that she's just going to love you still and accept you after that. Like, oh yeah, I guess we can be together now since you just fucking killed my dad. She's not going to be with you anymore, you freaking idiot. That was just so stupid, and that goes to the writing. That's just lazy and dumb and unrealistic as fuck. No man would do that. I don't see it. Like, he seemed like a normal guy. When they're talking to each other, and he's like, instead of saying I love you, why don't we just roar at each other? I thought that stuff was cute between them. And then he's like this psychopath and moronic as hell. And so then I love how they think like their street's untouchable. Like, they're baffled that they hear gunshots on the Purge. It's like, it's the Purge. Like, and they hear gunshots in the distance. They're like, oh my God, really? Like, I thought this was a safe neighborhood. Like, you thought you're that untouchable? I mean, Jesus. So I just thought that was interesting how surprised they were to hear gunshots on this particular day. And so then the son makes the critical decision here, the decision to let the hobo guy in, and that's what sets off this whole movie. And they would have been all right if he didn't do that, but he let the homeless guy in, and the neighbors rat them out. The neighbors, they took the hobo guy in, and so then they show up, and you got the creepy masks that are introduced here, and the villain, who I think is just a little too hammy and over the top. And so then we get the whole scene where, like, all right, we gotta look for the homeless guy. I wish I wrote his name. Does he have a name? We gotta go look for him. And this whole segment of the movie I thought was just kind of boring. It dragged on. I was like, all right, just find the guy. How hard is it to find this guy? And, he sends the remote control car to him, and I thought it would have been more helpful if you just wrote like a sticky note on it, or just put a note on it that says, hey, follow me, instead of like flashing your high beams, doing some kind of Morse code or whatever. Like, this guy's not going to know Morse code. He's homeless. And I mean, I'm not homeless, and I don't know Morse code. So it's like, this guy is supposed to just know, like, your little flashing the little high beams on your little remote control car is your signal for, hey, follow me. And he does know what that means. He does follow it back to the little hole in the wall. And then when his sister is talking to the camera and she's like, I'm going to go to your little secret spot, and he's like, oh no, she's going to bump into that guy and probably get hurt. What should I do? I think I'll just sit on my ass. That's what he does. He does absolutely nothing. Like, I'm sure he had time to get up, and I mean, there's no outside forces inside the house at this point. They're still locked and safe at this moment. He could have just stood up and yelled. I mean, how big is this house? He could have just yelled like, no, don't do it. But then I guess that would have given away, the fact that, he doesn't want that to happen because the homeless guy's in there. But still, it's like, dude, you should have tried something. He should have done something to prevent his sister from getting caught by the homeless guy in that scene. That just irritated me further towards his character. Hated him. And then he shoots his own friend, the guy outside, and he's like, he was my friend, and I just shot him in the face without hesitating. You're not my friend, so just imagine what I'll do to you. I thought that was actually a good moment. So, but it's a bit hypocritical because he's like, I don't condone that behavior. The guy was like yelling and shit. And then later on, he's outside yelling and acting like a lunatic. So it's like, shoot yourself in the face then, you hypocrite, because you're portraying the same behavior that you don't condone. So, and then after the brother not doing shit, they have this like Mexican standoff, and then they capture the hobo guy, and they tie him up, and then this is when they have that moment. They're like, what are we doing? We're becoming monsters. This isn't us. Let's just fight back. And then we get that whole scene in the like the rec room, the billiards room, and that's the best scene in the movie. We got Ethan Hawke kicking ass, slamming people's heads up against pinball machines, blowing people away. You got some CGI blood, and I never care for that, but blowing them away with this cool ass pump action shotgun. And then he axes the one dude, And then like he even does like double tap, like just to make sure that they're dead. He shoots them all one more time. It's a bit of a waste of ammo, but at least he's being sure that they're dead. And then he gets killed by the main villain, stabbed in the stomach, and slowly bleeds out. And this whole like heart monitor thing that they set up early on in the movie, like, what's that for? Oh, it's so we know that he's dead at the end. It's like, okay. Like the son, he's always like writing down what his heartbeat is every day for some reason. And then he takes that heartbeat monitor bracelet off and he puts it on his dad, and it like flatlines. And like, oh, he's dead now. It's like that's what that was set up for. Really? That's it? Okay. It seems pointless, but whatever. And then the neighbors show up, and you probably think at first like, oh, they're here to save the day. Nope, they're there to kill the neighbors, this family in the movie, because of a weak ass motivation, and that is, oh, we paid for your house and we're jealous. It's like, dude, your houses are just as big. You live in the same neighborhood, same gated community. You're all rich. What's to be jealous about? Because they made money off of you buying their product? Well, that's how capitalism works, bitch. So why are you upset? Like, that makes no sense. Like, that motivation was, I'm sorry, stupid. Like it could have just been anything else. Anything else would have been better. Like, because I want to. It would have been more scary. It's like, because we bought your security system and we want our money back. Like, I don't understand what the hell is their motivation exactly. Like, that makes no sense. Okay, whatever. Moving on. So let's tie them up, and then we'll kill them after. How about we just shoot them right now? Movie over. Like, why? It's convenient. It's just, let's tie them up and give them more opportunity to escape. Like, let's stab them. Like, they want to like take turns stabbing them, like make their deaths like even more painful. I guess that's pretty fucked up. They all had guns. They could have just shot them and it would have been over. But no, they tie them up in the next room. But then the homeless guy comes. He saves the day, and then we get like this moment of like awkward silence. They're just sitting around the table, just letting the clock run down, the countdown. It's almost 7 o'clock. And then she goes for the gun. There's like 10 seconds left. She's like, no, I gotta kill this bitch. I only got 10 seconds left. And then she like hits her right in the face, and she's like gushing with blood. I thought that was pretty funny. And she's like, there's no more killing. And so, yeah, that was just a funny scene. Like, that's like the second best scene in the movie. I like that. And then you hear all the sirens in the distance. Man, that's a busy day at work the day after. I mean, all the people who have to like respond to all the damage that's been done, and yeah, the hospitals would be pretty fucking full afterwards. And so yeah, why 7 to 7? Like, that's pretty mean. I mean, unless you're like me and you work night shift, I would just call off work that day, and I'm already up during the night. But other people, they would be way too tired. They would be falling asleep, and I wouldn't be able to fall asleep if the Purge was going on. I mean, come on, that's scary. Like, why wouldn't it just be like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. where people are awake and can protect themselves, not make it all through the night where you could just get stabbed in your sleep? I mean, that's ridiculous. Change that time, all right? And so, yeah, that's the end of the movie. That's it. All right, so, yeah, that's my thoughts on the original Purge. It's all right. I enjoyed it. Just not as much as I did the first time, but what are your thoughts on the original Purge? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like what you've seen here, you can hit this like button and become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And until next time, keep on Purging.